Welcome, welcome. So when I uploaded my first video about a month ago, I got this comment here, which gave me a great idea for build series based on the four seasons. So the first one we'll be doing is spring, and here's my inspiration board that I made on Pinterest for this build. So I did the build in Enford-on-Bagley, that's the world that came with cottage living, and obviously I did it in spring. If I'm honest, I had to go to like the fourth day of spring in game because before that, everything was gray and sad. None of the trees had leaves on it, and that kind of stuff. And at first, I thought that was a bit annoying. And then I looked outside and I realized that that's just very realistic. For those of you who don't know, I live in Canada, and the months of March and April over here are so long because one day it's nice and sunny and you think finally it's over. I get to go outside in just a hoodie. Everything is great. And then literally the next day it'll be snowing again and it's freezing cold and you have to get your winter boots out. So I kind of felt this when I had to fast forward through the days in The Sims to get to actually nice spring weather. Because I don't know about you, but whenever I think of spring, I think of nice and colorful with blooming flowers. But I guess it is true that the reality is sometimes a bit less pretty and a bit more gray and sad. But I didn't want this build to be like the sad, gray, disappointing spring. I wanted it to be the flowery, pretty spring. So I decided to do a lot of flowers in the front yard. I used this pretty flowery fence from my wedding stories, I think. And I tried to stick to this very like Eastery pastel color scheme. So I think there's some pink, green, yellow, and blue in almost every single room in this house. And I thought that was just so bright and sunny, and it really did make me think of the spring that I wish I had right now instead of the actual spring. I really like this build series ideas based on the seasons. I'm really excited to show you guys the other three builds that I made. I absolutely love all of them, and it was so fun to build. Please keep these challenge ideas coming. I'm really enjoying them. I've also been really enjoying working on these bigger project style video series, but if I'm honest, these are taking up quite a good chunk of my time, and it is getting a bit difficult to keep up with TikTok and my YouTube shorts at the same time. But I've been working on this Four Seasons build series and also on another huge project that I'll be revealing after this series ends. So hopefully all of this hard work pays off and I'll have a lot of builds to show you guys soon, so stay tuned for that. A bit on an unrelated note, I would like to mention that I do write closed captions in English and in French on every single one of my videos. So if any of you need closed captions or just prefer to have them on, I know I do. I can assure you that I do write all of my own closed captions myself, so there'll be none of that silly auto-generated stuff that makes no sense. And also, French is my first language, and I'm actually a professional English to French translator, fun fact. So I have been having a lot of fun doing my own captions and then translating them. But I figured that since I've never mentioned it in any of my videos, some of you guys might not be aware that they are available, so I wanted to make sure to mention that. I do mention it in my description, and I know not a lot of people actually read the whole description, but I put quite a lot of info in there, some details about the build, the equipment that I use, the mods that I have downloaded, that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions at any time, make sure to check out my video description first. And who knows, the answer might just be in there somewhere. Alright, now back to the build. I found it actually really fun and surprisingly easy to stick to the color scheme. I usually have a tendency to make everything very monochromatic. I'll only use the same color in the whole build. And this made me realize that sticking to a color scheme with 3 to 4 different colors might just be the way to break that habit. And I think that I'll most definitely be making a random color palette build challenge at some point or something like that to kind of help push me even further in that direction. I made this house into another family home because I just can't help myself, okay? But in the new project that I'm working on that I mentioned earlier, I promise that there aren't just family homes. I mean, there are quite a lot of them because it's just my favorite thing to build, but I am trying. One thing I can't quite promise yet is me being able to make a build without a green room in it. It really is an obsession. I think I even made the kids' room in this house green, so this house is no exception to that. I quite like how the layout turned out in this house. I got to fit quite a lot of stuff in there. The upstairs is a little bit tight, but you'll see that I still managed to fit 2 bedrooms up there, including one with a walk-in closet, so that's still pretty good. And there is an office downstairs that could easily be turned into a bedroom if you wanted to download this house and you needed an extra bedroom for your Sims. Now, I'll warn you, the houses in this build series use a bajillion packs. I wanted to make sure to include all of the packs that I own so that I would have access to more stuff, so I could really stick to the color schemes and the seasonal theme a bit easier. If you're ever curious, on the gallery you can see a full list of packs used in any build, and you can also click on every individual pack icon to see which items from that pack were used. So that can be really handy if, let's say, you find a house that you really like, but it uses, I don't know, City Living, and you don't have it. But if you click on it and you see that the only item from City Living is actually just one bed, you could still, no problem, just download the house and replace that bed. It's a really cool feature and it's really useful. Also, I know a lot of you know this already, but just in case you didn't, you can actually still download builds that use packs that you don't own. We'll try to replace or delete the items that you don't have in your game, and sometimes it can look a little silly. But let's say if you really like the shape of a house, but it uses a million packs that you don't have, you can still download it and redecorate it with a pack that you do have. And I think that's just a fun tip for any of you who didn't know. Now, we're coming close to the end of the build, and I know these speed builds are really fast and they kind of spin around a lot, and it's hard to kind of situate yourself in the build. So I will jump into the game in a second here and give you guys a quick tour so you can have a better idea of the layout and what the house looks like from a first-person view. Here's what the house looks like. It's on the top of that hill in Henford-on-Bagley. I really like the way the outside looks. I'm really proud of it. So when you first walk in, you're met in this cute little pink entrance, and to the right here is a little bathroom using that new shower tub combo from the new pack. And through here is the living and dining room. And then right in here is a toilet and a laundry room. Another view of the living room here. Then here is a cute little office. This is the room that could be turned into a bedroom if you needed it. And then through here is the kitchen. I made quite a big kitchen using these cottage living counters. Please excuse the weird glitches happening. I had quite a bit of trouble with this. Through this door is the side yard. I really like the color combination in here. I would have never thought to do that, but it actually works really well. So when you come back around, there's the stairs. And then when you go upstairs, you're met in a tiny, tiny hallway. And then here is the main bedroom with the walk-in closet. And the green bedroom, the mandatory green bedroom. So that's it for today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to subscribe if you want to see more of this build series. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.